Hey, this is Flatlander Mike coming to you from Saskatchewan, Canada. Now you might recognize me from my other videos on Viking side-by-side that I was working on. Well, I thought I'd change it up a little bit. I have lots of hobbies. One is model shipbuilding, wooden ships. I'm working on a couple right now. The other one is musical instruments. Now we have a band that we play for seniors lodges and stuff. So, but we owned a music store for 6 years here in this small town, and in that time I decided I needed something to do because sitting around waiting for customers to come in. I ordered a violin kit from Stuart McDonald in the States, and I decided I wanted to kind of figure out build an instrument. So anyway, so I get the instrument and I got the tools that I needed as I went along. But anyway, so I'll show you the first one I built. So this is the first one, and it's sort of been it doesn't sound that great, but you can hear it. That's the sound post inside. So anyway, I've stolen some parts. I stole the strings off this for another one. But anyway, I'm going to go through what it takes to refurbish a violin. Now this one here was built from a kit, so it's not quite the same thing, but you'll learn so much doing this, building this, how they're put together, all the angles that you need, etc., etc. So there's lots of stuff you can learn on this. I highly recommend that you buy one, and if you think you like it, and then go from there. Okay, so what I did was I purchased a violin at an auction sale. So now this is the one I purchased. Now I didn't pay very much for it, $37.50 I think it was. So what I did was I didn't look at it at all, just pictures online. So I didn't know how good a violin it was or anything else, what was wrong with it. But you can see here I got a free Lego from they had it stuck in the strings here. So I'm going to go through, we're going to start with part one and the inspection. If you're going to buy a violin, and what you need to do and look for as far as repairs and feasibility, if it's if you can fix it or not. Now anything can be fixed as long as you have a little bit of woodworking skill and some time and patience. I've had some that were completely in pieces, and not easy, but you need a little bit of patience. So anyway, so first of all we're going to look at one of the most important things, and that's the seams all along the edge where they're glued on. Okay, this is all glued together. And we're going to look at them and make sure that none of them are separating. So I've had a look at this already, and it looks pretty good here. I probably wouldn't take this apart or anything. The second thing you want to look at is, does it have a sound post in it? And if you look in through here, it's really hard to see, but there is a sound post sitting right in here. Okay, that holds the top. When the pressure of the strings are pushing down on the bridge, that holds the top. It also affects the sound as to where you put it. Now this one here, the fingerboard is pretty rough. Looks like somebody clear coated it. The paint, it's been painted, the paint's coming off. It's not a real quality fingerboard and wood. Mostly they're ebony. This is not ebony, it's just painted black to look like ebony. So your fingerboard, but I mean that doesn't really matter. You can. I'm going to scrape this down. I'm going to scrape all the paint off of here, and probably stain it. I have the stain. It's leather dye. It's called Feebings, and I bought it at a leather supply store in Saskatoon. I'll just stain it black with that, and then it'll turn out not quite like ebony, but it will blacken it quite a bit. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the peg box. Okay, now one of the most common things is the pegs. Okay, they're going to be loose. Now this one here, you can see it. I can move that peg. So that means it's worn because these pegs are just a friction fit. Okay, that one's got a, here we'll take this one out, this is good. Okay, so they're just a friction fit. They're tapered pegs. I believe it's a 3-degree taper. One tool that you need is a reamer, and I have it here somewhere. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's available, StuMac, also, what's the other place? Lee Valley has them now, so you can get them from there. So, what do you want? What you want to check, see if they're oblong. So if they're oblong, you're going to have to put the reamer through, straighten them out so that they're even pressure all the way around. The other thing is too, when they're reamed out too far, too big, they have a tendency of cracking right along here. So if the peg box is cracked, it can be fixed, but it's a big job. What you have to do is plug the hole. By the way, if the hole's too big, you're going to have to plug it and re-drill it and re-taper it. But if it's cracked, you have to plug this hole and re-drill it. What I do is I put a piece of maple on there. Now, I bought some maple from Lee Valley. It was on sale in big blocks, and I just cut them on the table saw, and you cut it wafer thin. You want about half the thickness. Now this is a little bit thick, but about half the thickness of the peg box. And then you just lay that on top. You take the pegs out, lay it on top, cut a piece that fits right along here. Then you chisel it out square on both sides and glue it together, and then re-drill your holes, and voila, done. Fixed the peg box. But that's a more serious thing, so hopefully you don't run into that. The other thing that I found common is where the back is glued on here, a little bit dusty here, this little button here that comes out fits over top of the neck heel. Okay, so it will break off right there, or right here where the purfling goes. Now, some of these violins don't have real purfling. It's painted, and I think that's the case here. So if you want to be really good, you can scrape it all off, and you can actually put new purfling in here, and then scrape it down. Supplies are, StuMac sells purfling. You can buy it from them. It's in the States, so I'm sure they'd be happy to supply it for you. So anyway, if this happens to break off, then that's a bigger job. Then you have to take the back off. So what you need is a knife. You take this back off, and you would cut down the heel, and you will cut a notch off. There's a block in here. If you build a violin, you'll see how it's built. So what I do is I whittle down this block. I shave it down, in here. Then I put a piece of this maple, and what I'll do is I'll put it in there. Make sure you put the grain going the right way. We'll put it in there, and then we'll cut this down. We'll cut this down here, the heel, so this sticks out. Okay, and then when we glue that back on, we'll put this button back on and glue it on, and then file it all down, sand it all down so it's level. Now I've had to do this on a few violins, so it's not that uncommon. So anyway, so that's the main things that you look for. Of course, cracks in the top. You can get a crack in the top somewhere. This one looks okay. So, but I mean, it can crack. So then you have to take the top off. Then you have not much choice. You take the top off, and then you on the back side you put little cleats across, glue them on, and then kind of chisel them down so they're tapered. Of course, cracks in the back, but it's not as prevalent as on the front. Fronts are usually spruce, tops are spruce, and the backs are usually maple. Now this maple is very, very, very plain. You can see the lines, they go straight up and down. There's a little bit of a curve in here, but it's a very, very plain back. The more, well, actually usually they're made out of two pieces. And this one here, I can't really tell if it's got two pieces or one piece. But usually it's two pieces, book match, which means it's the same piece. They cut it in half, slice it, and lay it over on each side. And it's all glued together. So what you would do is you would, you can, I guess, just clean it off and scrape it down, refinish it. You can tell some places, some of them don't have, like this one doesn't have any tigering, or they call it curly maple. Okay, so there's no. Now you can tell if it's painted on. I've seen violins from China that are painted on. They've got dark, and it looks like it's a really expensive violin. But if you take it and shine it in the light like this, it will change. It'll show up a different stripe. Every time you go like this, it'll just change. Okay? I'm not sure about this one, if it's... This is another one that I've had that... You know, this one's good. This one has a little bit of it. You can see the stripes in here. This is a one-piece back also. So I'll see if I can find one that has the tiger. Okay, so this is one of my more recent purchases. Actually got a really good deal on this one. Someone has refinished this one. So if you look, you can see this is real tiger. Okay. Very nice violin. Sounds pretty good. Probably just needs to be played. The more a violin is played, the better it usually gets. Now this is a Stradivarius copy. Stradivarius. Had really good luck with these. If you look inside here, there is a tag usually. And they are, it'll tell you where it's made, and sometimes it'll tell you years, sometimes they're forgery. This one here says Antonio Stradivarius. Now, a real Stradivarius is Stradivarii, and it says Cremona's and Fespat Anno 1730. It has a fake Stradivari stamp inside. It looks like it has its little cross with AS in a circle. That's a forgery. Now it does not say where it is made. So usually if it's made before 1880s for export, it will not have where it's from. It will not have an origin. If it's made after the 1880s, then if it's exported to the US or North America, it has to have the country in which it was made. So it'll be Germany most of the time. There are some now, if you get one that says made in Czechoslovakia, it's definitely after World War II because Czechoslovakia didn't exist before World War II. So you can kind of get an idea what year it was made. I mean, even that one, you're looking at 80, 90 years old already. So I've had really good luck with these copies. They're really nice. They've got really nice markings. This one has a really nice neck. It's lots of flames, flame maple on it. So like I said, this was already refinished when I bought it. I bought it at an auction sale also, but I had to put strings, etc. on it, so kind of fixed it up. So anyway, that's about all you need to know right now. Okay, so here we are, part 2. Started to scrape her down. As you can see, I've got part of this done. The finish is really, really thick on this. I don't know, I guess, well, it's better to get, the thinner the finish, the better. It allows the vibration to work. This is a pretty cheap violin, so it probably wouldn't be sounding too good, but the more I scrape off, the thinner the top is going to be and the more it vibrates, so it gives it a little better sound. So I wouldn't be too concerned about scraping the finish off. Try to get as much as you can. I've got different scrapers here. I've got a couple of curved ones here. I've got a couple of these curved on one side and concave on the other, and I have a little flat scraper and I have a bigger scraper. Usually don't use the bigger one very much, but there's a lot of curves and stuff on the violin, so I'll be using on the edges here, I'll be using the small one probably, because it kind of fits right in, so I can scrape it around. The other thing you need is a burnisher. So what this does is actually draws the edge onto your scraper, so you would bring it flat on the edge. I usually put it in the vise, and then I just pull it like this, and it brings the edge out and makes it sharp. So that's how you burnish it. You can file it off first, file the old one off, file it straight, and then pull an edge on it if you want. So you can go around here and around here. This is where I use the most, right in this area here. So the other thing I was going to show you, the last one, was the taper. So this is the taper reamer. It's tapered 3 degree, and it's got a solid part here which keeps it straight and doesn't make it egg shaped. I was looking at, I've got a set of pegs here, and also have a new end pin. I'm going to put a new end pin in. Here I have it's called a peg shaper, taperer. So this is a special tool. You straighten it up like this. It's got a cutter in here, and you would put the peg in. Well, I'm going to do the end pin. So you put the end pin in like this. And this one's going to kind of stick out. And then you tighten it down. And then you just turn it. It's like a pencil sharpener. Okay. So then you turn a little bit more. Turn a little more. Like that. So you do that, and then it will straighten, completely make this round, and you can make it smaller to fit the hole. You can also take the same reamer, you can ream this out, make sure it's flat, straight, before you cut the end pin, and then it'll fit there really tight. So it should be a kind of a press-in fit. And when you press it in snug, it should be flush. It's got a little shoulder on here, and that shoulder should sit flush inside, or on the outside here. It'll sit flush against it. So anyway, so we'll continue scraping it. Actually, I'll just show you a little bit of scraping here. So use this one here. So like I say, there's lots of little curves. So we're just kind of scraping here. It's a very tedious job. I've been working about probably a good half hour to get this much done. The only thing is you can't get underneath the bridge here very well, so I'm going to just kind of scrape it. Usually what you do is pop this bridge off. You have a seam knife. This is a special knife for popping seams apart. It's kind of a wedge shape, and it's fairly sharp here. So you would just kind of put this in the edge and just keep working it all the way along, and then pop this off, and then you can get at the whole top and re-glue the fingerboard back on. Or if you want, you can buy a new fingerboard. They sell parts for violins all over the place. Well, not all over the place. There's a few places you can buy them. And so there's no need. You can even buy fronts and backs, make your own, or whatever you want to do, whatever you need to do. This one is pretty much intact, so I'm going to just kind of scrape as much as I can underneath, and I'm going to finish it pretty much the way it is. And because I didn't spend much on it, so I'm going to just put it together, refinish it, put it together, and see what it sounds like. So, well, there's going to keep scraping here, and I'll update you when I get most of it. Okay, so we're just about done here. We got the top done. As you can see, it's violin in the white. So just got the back and sides to do, and the scroll that takes a little while because we're gonna go in through all these little grooves and everything. So we'll just keep on working. Okay, so we're getting down there. We're getting a lot of it all scraped off. We still got to go and do some of this and then the scroll here. But I ran into something that I didn't see, and if you look real close, it's broken. So what we're going to do is after we get the rest of it scraped down, we're going to put some glue in there and try and glue it back in, and then scrape it down. It should be okay. It's, like I say, it's not a very expensive violin, but we'll just do what we can and make it work. So yeah, we're going to keep on scraping here, and I'll be back. Okay, back here again. We're redoing this violin. Okay, so I got it pretty much all stripped down. Gave it a light sand with fine sandpaper. As you can see, it's a one-piece back, but it's not really the nicest that there is. Top is spruce though, so we'll see. It's fairly light, so we'll see how it sounds. So the next part we are going to put some masking tape along the fingerboard here. Because we're going to stain it. It's not ebony, so we're just going to stain it black. And I believe that's what it was before anyway. So we got that on there. And turn it over. This way. Okay, just put that along the edge from between the neck and the fingerboard. Gonna press it down really good. Okay, and I'm gonna put a little bit of tape on the top. I don't want to get stain on the top. The stain will not come out. It's I believe it's actually a leather stain. Do this. Another piece there. Okay, so we got good sticking on there. Don't want it to leak through if we can help it. Okay, so here's a stain. It's called Feedings leather dye. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a little shake. Really, really good dye. So they use this for ebonizing fretboards on guitars. So we only need just a little bit. But it'll probably take more than one coat. There. Soaks in really fast. Give a little bit on the sides here. Now if it was a really good violin, really nice one, I would probably replace the fingerboard. You can buy fingerboards. That would probably replace it with a real ebony one. Or just spilled half of my stain there. Anyway. That makes a good mess. Bottle like that will last you a lifetime anyway, so I'm not really worried. Do some more there. Get right on the edge. Soaks in really fast. Hopefully you didn't get much on the violin. I did just now. Hopefully we can sand that out. Okay, so there now we have it. We have a nice black fingerboard here. Actually got to take my gloves off. It's back on. I spilled probably 3/4 of the jar. Oh well. For the amount I do, it still lasts me quite a while. So that's going to be kind of a pain here. But probably have to replace this carpet. Okay, so pull off my gloves. So we're going to let that dry. So I'm going to take a bit of sandpaper here and try and sand this stain out. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Well, maybe. Probably wouldn't hurt to get a little bit of thinness to the top. It's probably over thick right now. Tops are graduated, they're special thickness, and that's what promotes the sound in them. So we're going to use a dark stain anyway, so now that's coming out. So we'll use a dark stain just to hide a lot of imperfections and hide the fact that it's not a very expensive violin. Still make it look rich. Okay, so we're going to just hang that up and let that dry. That's the thing about violin work is a lot of times you can do 5 or 10 minutes worth of work, and then you wait for something to dry or whatever, and then go from there. Alrighty, so the next step will be we're going to coat it with shellac. We're going to give it 3 or 4 coats of diluted shellac. The formula is 5 parts of alcohol to 3 parts of shellac. So I've got a little measuring cup here that I'm going to measure it out, and we're going to just mix up the measuring cup full and rub that on and do one at a time, and it dries really fast because it's quite watered down with the alcohol. In case you didn't know, it calls for denatured alcohol. So denatured alcohol is actually methyl hydrate. You can buy that anywhere. They use it for gasoline antifreeze on diesels and cars. So anyway, so we'll go and get set up for that next, and